In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Looking for whole food supplements for your ketogenic lifestyle? Then let me introduce you to Further Food. Go to furtherfood.com and you'll see that they source the highest quality ingredients on the planet. They have collagen peptides and my favorite, the gelatin powder to make those yummy gummies. And all of it is sourced from grass-fed, pasture-raised bovine collagen from Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. This is really high-quality collagen and gelatin. There's no hormones or antibiotics, it's non-GMO, and it's the most tasteless and easiest to use on the market. If you're not using collagen and gelatin, you need to be adding this to your ketogenic lifestyle. Collagen will help you curb your carb cravings. Again, head on over to furtherfood.com, enter the coupon code Jimmy at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your order. Elevate your wellness. Further Food.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram. I'm Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. We also simulcast here on Facebook Live, so thank you to all my Facebookers who are here for Jimmy Rants here today. If you missed the live on Instagram, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. It then disappears. After 24 hours, you'll need to hop over to YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about this time of year when we start to see more and more what I refer to as crappy garbage all over the place. And it actually happens around a lot of holidays. But tomorrow is Easter. And so the food companies have gotten very sophisticated at marketing around all of these holidays. Of course, they adore Halloween because anything and everything is game. But for Easter, they have come up with these very unique products that they put out only this time of year and market heavily to you to give to your children. And one of those things, and you guys grew up with it, I did. Mama used to give us this in our little Easter baskets on Sunday mornings. She would give us, and we would love it, one of these little Cadbury eggs, right? So Cadbury little eggs have become a tradition for a lot of parents to give to their kids on Easter. And what's not to love about them when you're in your crappy garbage days? It was chocolate, it was like this creamy center, and it was just delicious, or so we thought. And so what I want to talk about here today is this story where this woman actually looked up how much sugar was in a Cadbury Creme Egg. And she was shocked to find out the contents that was in this egg, the amount of sugar, the number of teaspoons of sugar that was in a Cadbury Creme Egg. And so it begs the question for me, why are people suddenly so surprised by the sugar content that's in junk food? As someone who's been in this space for a little while, as someone who used to be a junk food junkie and didn't really give a crap about what was in any of the foods and drinks that I was eating, I can almost invariably know why people didn't care before. But I think because we now see the relationship that these choices have made on our bodies and by extension our health and our weight, that's why people are suddenly paying attention. And to that I say, hallelujah. I've been trying to get people to pay attention to what they put in their mouth because all of the focus in the mainstream is, well, I'm just watching my weight, and if I could have this in moderation, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. And I've long tried to explain to people this isn't about weight. And I've long explained to people you can't undo the metabolic effects that come from eating something like a Cadbury egg. Your body's never intended to handle that much sugar. So let's get into this story a little bit, and then I'll have some more commentary, and then I'll come to you guys with your commentary as well. It probably won't come as a surprise to you that there's quite a lot of sugar in chocolate. Apparently, it is a surprise because a lot of people are just shocked. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. And I don't think it's a problem with chocolate per se. I do think mainstream industrialized companies, Hershey bars, Cadbury, all of these companies that make these chocolate product, Nestle, make these chocolate products, they're using the lowest kind of grade chocolate they can, things like milk chocolate. If you get a good quality dark chocolate, the sugar content in that is next to nil. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but very dark chocolate of 80% or more is actually so much more tasty and rich, and you get all the satisfaction of chocolate without all of the unnecessary sugar. So I don't think it's necessarily a chocolate problem, but mainstream chocolate, they're absolutely right. It's probably even less of a surprise to learn that a chocolate egg that is filled with fondant is even more full of sugar. It's literally sugar paste. This is not rocket science. Well, it may not be rocket science, but it's certainly an eye-opener to a lot of people. And perhaps you have kids in your life, be it your actual kids, your grandkids, great-grandkids, nieces, nephews. Maybe for Easter, they're getting a Cadbury egg. You want to pay attention to this because they do make some good points in here that I think are worth talking about here today. If you actually saw the amount of sugar that goes into one of these Cadbury Creme Eggs, you may be a little bit surprised, but even by the standards of sugary treats, it's a lot more than you even realize. Even though everything is already rubbish and life is essentially one long trudge towards oblivion, what kind of life is this person that wrote this living? If your life is essentially one long trudge towards oblivion, I'm living my life, a very happy life, a very healthy life, a very vibrant life. I'm not one long trudge towards oblivion. That's kind of fatalistic if you ask me. We're here to ruin any little pleasure that you might get from your otherwise meaningless existence. Man, what a pessimist this author is. I need to rewrite this article and put a happy spin on it. So this lady named Rebecca Billham, she runs a Facebook page called The Little Red Hut Home and Gifts. She posted a picture of that Cadbury Creme Egg alongside a coin so that you can see how big it is, okay? So there's the Cadbury Creme Egg, and there is the coin. And this was over in the UK, so that coin doesn't look familiar. It's called a 2p coin. I think it's probably about the size of a quarter here in America. And then she posted right next to the Cadbury egg and the coin the amount of sugar that is in that Cadbury egg. You guys ready for this? I'm going to show it on screen. That is how much sugar is in that Cadbury egg. And it shows you, see how much bigger it is than even the egg? That shows you the density of sugar that is in that Cadbury Creme Egg. So, each of these Cadbury eggs has 26 grams of sugar in it. Now, Americans don't think in grams, we think in teaspoons. So, as I've noted before on Jamie Rants, you want to find out the teaspoons of sugar in any given food. Take the total carbohydrates. In this case, all of the carbohydrates in the Cadbury Creme Egg is sugar. But take the total carbohydrates, divide by 4, and that's the teaspoons of sugar in it. So that little Cadbury, I was going to say crapberry, but Cadbury Creme Egg 26 grams of sugar divided by 4, 6.5 teaspoons of sugar. And I talked about the other day also, wouldn't it be cool if they put little teaspoons of sugar on the packaging of products? Can you imagine if they had to put like 6 teaspoons? Where would they put it? There's no room on the label for them to put the teaspoons of sugar. But that would illustrate for people exactly what you're getting. And to me, it's kind of shocking, and I guess I've been in this space for so long, for 15 years, talking about nutrition and health. To me, it's incredible that people continue to be surprised by the amount of sugar that is in junk food, because it's called junk food for a reason. There's loads of stuff in there you just don't need in your body. According to the UK government guidelines, adults are supposed to have no more than 30 grams or 7 teaspoons of sugar a day. So if you have one Cadbury egg, you just shot your wad. You got to eat meat the rest of the day. I don't think they need 30 grams, 7 teaspoons of sugar per day, because guess what, you guys? And I've talked about this before on Jimmy Rants. The number of teaspoons of sugar that's in your body right now, is exactly 1. So you have 1 teaspoon of sugar that is in your entire body. So when you eat 1 Cadbury Creme Egg, you are flooding your body with 6.5 times the amount of sugar that is currently in your bloodstream. Now, I know some antagonists to this message will say, well, your body has mechanisms in place to deal with that sugar when it comes in, and the insulin will rise and push it up. Okay, fine. If you are a generally healthy person, relatively insulin sensitive, maybe the consequences of having that sugar from a Cadbury egg will not harm you. But about 3/4 of the population do not have good, what's called insulin sensitivity. They have this condition known as insulin resistance. And what it means is the insulin has had to work harder in order to deal with the crap that you put in your mouth. And so if you eat something like a Cadbury egg and you have insulin resistance, guess what? The insulin is not going to respond accordingly. What's going to happen is your blood sugar will start to rise and rise and rise and rise. It will cause a rise and rise and rise and rise in your insulin, and the insulin can't keep up because you've done this song and dance to it again and again and again, that it's become numb to your carbohydrates that you keep putting in your mouth. And this develops over years. Guys, I've told you about my history of eating. I used to drink 16 cans of Coca-Cola every day. That didn't come without consequence. I had my insulin trying its darndest to keep me in a healthy range with my blood sugar. And because of all that inundating my body on a daily basis with basically high fructose corn syrup in liquid form, I developed heavy-duty insulin resistance. It's why even today, even on a ketogenic diet, I still have belly fat. It's why I still have slightly elevated insulin. My body, despite the best diet in the entire world, my body is saying, okay, big boy, the consequences, the sins of your past are catching up to you, and you're going to have to deal with that. So if I had one of these Cadbury eggs with all that sugar in it, if I had just one of those, you guys, my insulin would go through the roof. My blood sugar would respond crazily. And here's another thing that happens. It came up on the Q&A session of Jimmy Rants just last night. Somebody said, oh, when I eat a high-carb meal, my blood sugar dips down in the 70s. I said, that ain't a good thing. That's called reactive hypoglycemia. And when you have some kind of a crap high-carb meal or some kind of a crap thing like a Cadbury egg, and how many of us just ate one? I never ate just one. I ate 2, 3, 4 of them. When you have something like that, your blood sugar will go up, but then sometimes insulin will over-respond, and then you get a problem on the low end of your hormones trying to keep your blood sugar in balance. That's called glucagon. And when glucagon resistance rears its ugly head, you get blood sugar crashes, and that's no bueno for you either. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about why people are seemingly suddenly so surprised by the sugar content in junk foods and I'm reading from this article about the Cadbury Creme Egg and all the sugar, 6.5 teaspoons of sugar worth in a Cadbury Creme Egg. And I'm asking the question, why are we so surprised by this? Because we've known about it for years, especially those of us that have opened our eyes, trying to eat better, trying to make better choices. But those Coca-Colas I used to drink, one can of Coca-Cola, if I knew that one can of Coca-Cola, which has 45 grams of sugar in it, mostly from high fructose corn syrup, divided by 4, that's over 11 teaspoons of sugar. If I had knowingly known that one can of Coke had 11 teaspoons of sugar, and then I was drinking 16 of those a day, I might have had my eyes opened a little sooner. And for me, I think people are just walking around oblivious. They just have no idea. I do think because of the continued obesity, continued diabetes, continued heart disease, and all of these other problems that people are having in their health, it is opening their eyes that they need to be paying more attention to this. But it's kind of shocking to me that people, oh my gosh, I had no idea junk food had sugar in it. Why are we surprised? So, count yourselves lucky, adults, because children, according to the UK government guidelines for sugar, can't even have one of these Cadbury Creme Eggs because according to the guidelines for them regarding sugar intake, children between the ages of 7 and 10 should have no more than 24 grams of sugar, and children between 4 and 6 only 19 grams. So they know children should not be having gobs and gobs of sugar. What I don't understand is why they would think adults would. To me, the insulin sensitivity when you are a kid is at its greatest. It's at its best. So yes, let kids be kids, but I don't think kids need to be overexposed to things like Cadbury Creme Eggs. So if you bought one for your kid tomorrow, that's fine. Let them have it. Let them enjoy it, but let them know it's a treat. That's how you educate. I wish when I was a kid, I had been better taught that treats are treats. Because what happened was a Cadbury egg became, I deserve that every single day. And, we'd buy a whole bunch of them around Easter time. Oh, well, okay, they sell it, and so it's good for you, and it tastes good, blah, blah, blah. It's an egg. Did you ever play those games, those mind games? Oh, it's an egg, and it's not an egg, but it's an egg in here. Yeah, we have so many things in our culture that if I could go back in time and undo some of the things I believed at one time and have the knowledge that I have now, oh, how things would have turned out differently in my weight and health journey. But I definitely want to see what you guys have to say. Are you surprised that people are suddenly coming to the realization of the sugar content that's found in foods? To me, it's a sign of good things happening in our culture, that people are becoming more self-aware of these kinds of things. But welcome to the fray. If that's you, welcome to the fray. About darn time. Been trying to preach this for a little while in my work, but I'm glad it's finally getting out there. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. I'm going to go to Instagram first. I'll be over here to you guys here in a minute on Facebook Live, so hang with me. Justin says, always bring awareness. Yes, I don't think a lot of people realize just how much sugar is in the junk foods that they're eating, Justin. Beth says, Scottish eggs are on my bucket list. They look like the keto version of Cadbury. I've never had Scottish eggs before. Been to Scotland though. Kitty Caddick just made amazing homemade chocolate for my kids. I'll post about it later, but we are trying to do Easter with little toys in the eggs instead of chocolates. Take the food out of the occasion. Kat, you're exactly right. I think that's how you do it, and do it as a good mom or good parent. And again, don't misunderstand me. If you bought Cadbury egg or whatever for your kid for Easter, I'm not trying to judge you in any way, but Kat is right. You don't have to necessarily make it an occasion about food and what I call food-like disease agents, all this junk. You can make it about the experience of the day for those of us that are Christian, celebrating Jesus and honoring him for rising from the grave. Those are the things that you focus on Easter, not a little bunny and not little eggs. And bunnies don't lay eggs anyway, so I never understood that connection. I love dark chocolate now. Milk would be too sweet, says Imperfectly Healthy. Exactly. I don't even remember the last time I've had milk chocolate. Milk chocolate and white chocolate are like the lowest amount of chocolate that you can get with the highest amount of sugar. Get the highest amount of dark chocolate that your taste buds will let you enjoy. Justin says, every time I cheat, I have candy. I feel like junk the next morning. My body aches. I'm 4 to 5 pounds up from the day before, which I know is water weight. I feel sluggish and irritable and depressed. And yet we do it willingly, Justin, don't we? That lights my term, crapberry, yes. Don't have the crapberry cream egg. Marie says, oh, not far off. My guess was 30 grams of sugar. Yes, I'm in the UK. Those things are hideous. Why is anyone surprised? My point exactly. Why are we surprised? Family members posted a meme, eat less sugar, eat more fruit. I suppose fruit is marginally better than like a Cadbury egg and the sugar that would be in it, but we're assuming that the sugar that's in fruit is not bad and the sugar in a Cadbury cream egg is. They're the same sugar. Tammy says they worry about sugar but don't think about carbs being the same as sugar. Exactly, Tammy. It's one thing I've tried to preach here on Jimmy Rants is don't just look at added sugars like we talked about the other day. Don't just look at sugar content that might be naturally occurring in foods. Also look at the total carbohydrates. Divide that by 4, and that's metabolically the equivalent of teaspoons of sugar responding in your body to whatever you're eating. Alberto says, I'm more surprised by the food content in junk sugar. 1 gram of food, that is too much. Yeah. Di says, I know about learning about keto. I couldn't think of eating that way again, but I was ignorant before because no one told me the truth about sugar. Well, now you know. Now you know. Alberto says, artificial sucrose is bad. Natural sucrose is good. Yeah. Try telling your body that there is such a thing as fake sugar and processed sugar, and then the natural sugars that's in things like fruit. Your body responds the same way. So it's pretty amazing people have these notions that there is a difference. All right, let's come over here to Facebook. Thank you guys for being here on Jimmy Rants here today. Jessica likes my word flummox. Yes, flummox. I pull those out of my my English major history. I was a word nerd. When I was growing up, I used to win the spelling bees in elementary school, and I won a lot of writing contests when I was growing up. So, yes, I come up with all kinds of words. Kimberly says, I never liked those dang things, talking about the Cadbury Creme Eggs. Yeah. Hello, Tommy from Norway. Do you guys have Cadbury Creme Eggs there? Do you see those around? Jessica said, I never liked the cream eggs. The mini eggs are a whole nother story. Love those, but a no-no. Yeah. For show. Stephanie says probably getting 6 Cadbury eggs. Well, if you're gonna get them, I would definitely not eat all 6 at the same time. But I suppose if you're gonna eat something like that, don't eat the whole one. I don't know. I mean, obviously I say eat none, but if you're gonna have them, spread them out a little bit. Yeah, eek. Jimmy says, what about these keto approved snacks coming out that have 35 plus total carbs but claim they're very low net carbs, like a Quest Hero bar over 40 total carbs but claim 7? Jimmy, I have ranted about that before. I did a whole Instagram story the other day about the brand new Quest, what is it? Chocolate covered sprinkled donut bar from Quest Bars. And I asked the question, if you still think this is healthy, we need to talk. Because I agree with you. I think some of those things are nonsense. It's why I'm a total carber. If you're going to count carbs, you've got to count total carbohydrates if you're going to be honest about what your carb tolerance is. And those Quest bars are not keto. Don't even think about it being keto. Mitzi says, I'm the mean, grinchy grandma. No candy, no junk food for my kids or grandkids, because you're a good grandma. That's why, Mitzi. I have to live my truth, and I can't in good faith as an NTP give them poison. Again, Mitzi, when I was a kid, I would have hated you as a grandma, but when I got to be an adult, I would have appreciated what you were doing in my life. So I wish I had had those kinds of influences in my life that might have taught me something a little bit about the kinds of things I was putting in my mouth and the ramifications it would have down the road. Here I am 47, but when I was 7, I would have loved to have heard some of these messages that we now know are axiomatically true about what these things are doing to our health. Hello, Stephanie. My sister-in-law just popped on here. I give clothes and small toys for Easter. No candy for my children, says Jessica. Awesome. Jerry says, when I drink diet soda the next day, the scale is up 4 to 5 pounds of water weight. Years ago, when I used to eat a cheat food, wham, knocked me out of ketosis. We worked too hard to cheat. Hashtag never again. And you know that about yourself, so act accordingly. Sylvia says, even what some consider healthy foods like bread have a whole lot of sugar in them. Yeah, exactly. Whole grain bread is not health food. Christine and I used to like to get the honey wheat bread. Oh, well, it's honey, that's healthy. It's wheat bread, that's healthy. Yeah, it wasn't. None of that. Kathy says, normally by now I would have eaten at least 6. I'm staying out of the stores for now. I order my food online so I'm not tempted. I just started keto in January. Well, Kathy, kudos to you knowing your triggers. And I wish you well in this journey. Thanks for being here on Jimmy Rants. If I can encourage you in any way, please let me know how I can help. Tracy said, I never really liked those eggs. Yeah, there's some people it was way too much. For someone highly, highly sugar addicted, it was a concentrated form of your drug of choice. And so for me, I thought they were delectable. And of course, never realizing all that creaminess that was in my mouth was just pure, unadulterated sugar. Kimberly says, the longer I'm on keto, it makes me so sad to see people loading sugar in their grocery baskets. I seem to embarrass my kids by checking labels when grocery shopping. I have allowed my 2 to have a little bit of candy because it is a treat. Well, your 2 are 2 beautiful, healthy children, Kimberly, and they don't have a weight problem at all. And so you're doing well with whatever you're doing. And I think, let them think that you're weird. Again, I think when they get older, they're going to appreciate that mom taught them and that mom listened to this crazy guy, Jimmy Moore, about eating better and making good choices. Again, that was never demonstrated to me as a kid. And it took me all through my 20s getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to the point that I was on 3 medications by the time I was in my early 30s. And I was 400 plus pounds. And it wasn't until I got to this brink of health disaster that I was able to start turning things back around again. And I've said this before, and it's morbid, but I'll just say it bluntly. I would be dead today had I not started on a low-carb ketogenic diet. I would. I'd be gone. My own brother Kevin's gone now. He died in 2008, and he was just 41 years old. And so this is so important. And this education piece is everything. It's one reason you guys see me on here every single day. Yes, I rant sometimes. Sometimes I'm inspiring you. Sometimes I'm trying to encourage you. But I'm always, always trying to educate you so that you don't befall the same fate that my brother did. And quite frankly, for myself, I'm trying to live as long and healthy as I possibly can. I realize those choices from my past are probably going to cut into the length of life I would have had I not made those poor choices. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that because now I know. And now I not only know for myself, but I'm trying to pass along those lessons to all of you guys on these Jimmy Rants. Holly says, I hate the Peeps. Yeah, I've talked about the Peeps before. It's just basically marshmallow that's been dipped in sugar. That's all Peeps are. Ugh, no thanks. Stephanie says, I mean, the kids are probably going to get 6 cream eggs, not just one. Yeah, back in the day, that's the way it was. Kathy says, we had an Easter egg hunt at work, but instead of candy in the eggs, there were positive quotes. Ooh, I like that, Kathy. And if you're a Christian, maybe you put scripture verses in there. And then if they memorize the scripture verse, maybe you give them some kind of a financial incentive. You give your little munchkin like $5 if they memorize the scripture that they find in the Easter egg. Ooh, there's all kind of little things you can do. Denise says, my mom used to buy me those Cadbury eggs and I hated them. Yeah. Holly says, my go-to growing up were the Russell Stover marshmallow chocolate covered bunnies. I've had those too. And they actually make a sugar-free version that's made with maltitol. And unless you like poopy pants, I would not recommend eating those at all. They still have a ton of carbohydrates in the form of the maltitol. And yes, it's a sugar alcohol. No, it's not supposed to increase your blood sugar and insulin. But yes, it does in spades. Now they make me sick just thinking about them, says Holly. Yeah. Tracy says, I wish you were going to the Salt Lake City Keto Conference next weekend. I was invited to speak. Christine and I both were invited to speak at that event in Salt Lake City, Utah. But 1 week from today, Christine and I will be hopping on a plane going to Italy with Maria Emmerich. So that's why we're not going to be there. All righty. Sylvia, that's a general question that I do on Friday afternoons. I do an open Q&A, and that's a great one, how I found keto. I'd be delighted to answer that, but not in the context of this Jimmy Rants, which I stay on topic. Kimberly says, my 2 girls love you. Aw, well, I love them too. Denise says, Mother's Day is coming up. I'm getting my mom a keto cake, even though she's not keto. Well, she'll probably be none the wiser, Denise. Don't tell her it's keto and just say, oh, Mom, here's cake I got for you. She won't know. She won't know. They taste just as good. David says, how do you say that? Suet eggs for keto kids does not sound so appetizing. Okay, so let me go back over here, see if there's other comments that have come in. I got to get to the Keto San Antonio group here in a minute, you guys. Going to be going live with them, talking about biohacking your ketogenic diet. Alberto said, Eastern eggs are eggs from rabbits made of chocolate. Yes. I just like the Cadbury rabbit commercial, says Yo Mama Lifts. Yeah, we all watch that. It's called marketing. Marketing works. You have these images in your head. What's that one when I was a kid? Dentyne. Remember the Dentyne? Is it still out there? I don't chew gum anymore. But Dentyne gum used to have this slogan, brush your breath with Dentyne. Y'all remember that little phrase? And so when I was a kid, very impressionable, I thought that meant that I didn't need to brush my teeth anymore because I could brush my breath with Dentyne. So I'd pop that in my mouth and I would brush my breath with Dentyne and not brush my teeth. No wonder I got root canals and pulled teeth, rotted teeth. Ugh. Marketing works, guys. I like that positive messages inside the eggs. Mine would say, don't eat sugar, says Alberto. The candy is gross, says Yo Mama Lifts. Yes, it is so gross. So, all right, guys. So the bottom line of this Shimmy Rants is, why are people suddenly so surprised by the sugar content that's in junk food? I don't get it. I'm glad, though. I'm glad that they're finally opening their eyes. I'm glad that they realize, thanks to this woman showing the amount of sugar that's in a Cadbury egg, putting it right next to it so you can see that visual. Those kinds of visuals, you guys, open people's eyes. It's one reason I've pushed so hard for them to make teaspoons of sugar on the front packaging of foods a thing. And take the carbohydrates, divide by 4, and then throw that number of teaspoons of sugar on the front of packaging of foods. It would open people's eyes, much more so than anything they do on the nutrition facts label. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. We also simulcast live here on Facebook Live. I generally go first on Facebook, kind of talk for a couple minutes with them before we start the show. Then we have the after party over here on Facebook as well. So stick around, you guys. We'll be back with the after party. Atar says, but teaspoons wouldn't sell the product. Exactly. I don't give a crap about selling product. I give a crap about telling people what is in these foods. And these food companies, they know that you're on to them. And that's why they are opposing all of these moves. If you missed the live on Instagram, you can actually watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear. You'll need to go check it out on YouTube. We house all the past episodes over there. So type in a keyword Jimmy Rants either in YouTube, on Google. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast. Over 100 episodes of the Jimmy Rants podcast now over on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. So until next time, Instagram, we'll see you then.